Right, we're back. Let's geek out on this Thursday evening, and what a Thursday it was. Just as expected, just a picture-perfect looking afternoon. Cooler than the average, yes, but hard to complain about a day like today. Let's go right to how things have changed over the last few months. This was the high-resolution visible satellite picture of the region from about 400 or so miles above our heads in outer space on March the 4th, near the beginning of meteorological spring. Of course, at that time of the year, everything is not green. It's still pretty brown. Look how things have greened up, though, in the last few months. It's just kind of amazing, the transformation of the landscape during our transition seasons from winter to spring and from summer into fall into winter. Of course, a few fair weather cumulus clouds dotted the landscape today, but otherwise it was a crystal clear Thursday. This spring is going to go into the record books as a wet one, of course. Since March the 1st, officially at the Youngstown Warren Regional Airport, 14.77 inches worth of rain, our wettest spring season since 2011, which is the wettest on record by a long, or by a big margin, I should say, by a good 4 inches or so. That number one spot in 2011. It was a very stormy spring. It was a very wet spring, even more extreme of a pattern than this year. This year, not only locally, but in most of the eastern U.S., has been stormy and wet. 2011 was even more so. And of course, it was warmer than average yet again this month. We're going to go into the record books as probably around 5.1, 5.2 degrees above the average. We have one day to go, and it'll get off to a cool start tomorrow morning, so that's going to influence the numbers a little bit on the final day of the month. But we'll end up probably somewhere just north of 5 degrees warmer than the average, making it about the 7th warmest May on record after the 4th warmest April, the 11th warmest March, the 5th warmest February, and the 2nd warmest December. We had a pretty close to average January, but ever since December 1st, of course, it's been ridiculously mild compared to the average. And on this May the 30th, our weather, of course, quiet here locally. We have some severe weather concerns ongoing in Texas, with a couple of severe thunderstorm watches and tornado watches there. And we'll have one more chilly morning to contend with on our Friday. I think the coldest nooks could see a 39 or 40 degree reading first thing in the morning on Friday, but with a full supply of sunshine, high pressure almost right overhead, it is going to be a rapid warm-up Friday, and even nicer than it was today. In the afternoon, we'll have no trouble getting above 70, maybe even 75 in some spots before the day is through. What about the weekend? Here's what we've done with our hourly rain chances, at least for most of the daylight hours over the weekend. We think Saturday during the daylight hours is dry, but showers will become increasingly likely Saturday night and heading into Sunday morning, probably through midday. Now, the afternoon, we can't call that at this point completely dry, but we think the lion's share of the rain Sunday is likely to be during the morning hours, with maybe a residual passing shower as we get into the afternoon. All right, long-range trends. I think next week will start out pretty nice on Monday. There'll be a period during midweek, though, that we'll have a few chances for showers and thunderstorms. That being said, it looks pretty warm, at least for a time next week. I think by next weekend, that second weekend of June, trough of low pressure is going to move overhead. It looks pretty cool compared to the average then for maybe, an extended period of time here during mid-June. So I don't see any high heat coming our way during at least the first half of June. Let's go over to tonight's run of what we call the European weeklies, the long-range European model. We can look at the next 45 days on this model, but we're going to take a look at most of June here and look at all the blues. This is from the 9th through the 15th, a below-average regime, temperature-wise, likely to transpire as a ridge really pops across the western U.S. It's going to get hot in Salt Lake City, Boise, Reno, Vegas, places like that. Even Seattle and Portland will get hot. And with that kind of a ridge out west, you're going to have a trough downstream. And so I think it's going to be pretty cool compared to the average here for a while in June. Now, it's June, so it's not like it's going to be cold outside. But in this kind of a pattern, we're just going to be prevented from having much in the way of high summertime heat. Now, as we go towards the end of the month, the European weeklies here get rid of a lot of those blues, a lot of those cool anomalies, and pretty much go coast to coast with warmth at the end of June and start of July. Now, any model solution or idea this far out into the future, you have to take with a grain of salt, but there is some pretty good agreement on the general ideas here amongst some of our medium and long range models that the first half to maybe even 3 weeks of June will not be particularly hot locally. The heat will be centered mostly out west, but this could evolve into a pattern where we have coast-to-coast heat compared to the average as we get closer to the 4th of July holiday. And if you remember from my summer forecast put out a couple of weeks ago, I'm not going to be surprised if we have a pretty darn hot stretch, compared to average, of course, in the latter 2/3 of summer, from July through August and maybe into September as well. Many factors go into that idea, including an emerging La Nina in the Pacific, other ocean water temperatures. There have been years in the past where we've had sort of similar setups to this in the oceans that the result has been a pretty hot summer, particularly during the second half of summer, and we kind of think that's going to be the idea this year as well. That'll do it for me on this Thursday evening edition of the Valley's most in-depth forecast. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great night. I will probably not do a video on Friday, so I'll see you back here after the weekend on Monday.